Hey guys, Chris from Provo Bose Audio Installation, and today we're doing front door speakers on this Mazda 6. In this install, we're going to show you how to replace the factory component speakers. You have a mid-range here and a tweeter up in the dash. We'll show you how to replace both. Provo Bose Audio Installation channel is sponsored by NVX and Sonic Electronics. Get 10% off all speakers, amplifiers, wiring kits, and more with coupon code PBAI at NVX. Also get 5% off all car audio components at Sonic Electronics with coupon code ProvoBeast. Now, first thing we're going to do is get this panel off. Now, this little sail here, I'm using a little vinyl panel tool, and you can just get behind to relieve the clips, just like so. Then I do have an angled pick. And there's just a little cover in the inside of the door. Just you can pull that on out. Just held on with clips. Now down here in the little pocket, there's to be a little rubber mat, and then hiding a screw. Go ahead and remove that Phillips. And there's also a Phillips behind the panel we removed the handle. Now using your tool again, just kind of get up underneath your little handle switches and disconnect your harnesses here. It just gets them out of the way so you don't have any issues with the wiring harness trying to get the door panel off. Now at this point there's just clips all around the door. Using my panel tool, you can just start from the corner if you really like. And really what you want to do is just find a good place to start. You'll feel where those clips are. And if your panel's never been off before, it's going to be pretty tight. Alright, so from this point, what we're going to do is just kind of start from one end and lift the door off. Trying to break it out and away from the door seal. Like so, and then your handle will unclip from the bezel. Now as you notice, there's a ton of these clips still in the door. We'll want to pull them out and put them back in the panel before we put this back on later on. Alright, from this point we have our mid-range. Go ahead and disconnect the harness here. And then these are all 10mm bolts. There we are. Alright, so for the tweeter, excuse the mess of the windshield here, but our tweeter panel speaker cover is just held on with clips, and using this same panel tool, just kind of start on the end and get up underneath. Just kind of start, just pop it up. And then it slides on out. There is going to be two Phillips screws holding the factory tweeter in. Now that factory tweeter, those screws are tough to get to, so we'll use an angle bit. Now don't lose these screws, we're going to need them again to remount our new tweeter. Once you pull it out, disconnect the harness here. That's free. Now the speaker kit we decided to go with are the Skar Audio Components SK65C. The parts that we're going to need are the speaker ring adapter. We're using the Metra 82-7501 speaker ring adapter. And wiring harness adapters, we're using the 72-5602. And what they look like is this. And this, which if you notice is pretty darn close to the original, which is exactly what we want, because we need this to fit in the factory location. There's a hole in the top for all your wiring to fit through. Now with our speaker ring adapter, because it also fits 5 1/4, we got to break off these inside tabs. They won't be needed, and they'll be in the way. Okay, there is our mid-range speaker, all nice and snug. Now, if we flip it over carefully, you'll notice our speaker terminals here and our adapter, our wiring adapter, they'll plug in based on each size, so you can't get them backwards. This end plugs into the factory plug, hence why we get these. They're super nice. There's our harness. Everything plugs in. At this point, this is ready to go back in the car. Now for the tweeter, this is our tweeter here. And our Skar Audio tweeter, we actually picked up these adapters. These are just generic Mazda 3 speaker tweeter adapters. And you can just do a quick Amazon search. But these tweeter adapters are only a few bucks. And what we did is we cut a 2-inch hole and then secured it with glue on the back so it's not going anywhere. And that will bolt in the same location as the factory one. Now, of course, depending on your install and how you're wiring this, since we're doing a crossover, we're actually not going to use the factory tweeter wiring. Instead, we're just going to run our own directly to our crossover underneath the seat. So we'll show you what that looks like. But essentially here, the principle is still the same. We're going to wire this in. Positive is red, negative is black. Then we're going to get this mounted in the dash. Okay, so using the same 4 screws, I went ahead and mounted our new mid-range, bolted that up nice and snug here. And the nice thing is, with the adapter, it just plugs right on in. So that's why it's important not to lose those, because again, you'll use them again. At this point, we're really done. Make sure you test it to ensure that it's operating properly. But at this point, we're just about ready to put the door panel back on. Okay, so for our tweeter, since I'm running my own wiring here, I soldered on my speaker wire coming from the amplifier crossover area. I soldered on the positive and the negative. That's all good to go. We'll put some heat shrink over it just so it's nice and protected, and then we'll get it mounted. Now you may be wondering, well, where's the crossovers? Well, here under the driver's side front seat, we put our crossover network inside here just because it's out of the weather, and it's a little bit more accessible in case we need to do any maintenance on it. But essentially our output from our amplifier goes into our crossovers. Since these are components, we have our input, which is the main input from the amplifier. Then we have 2 outputs, one for the mid-range woofer and one for the tweeter. For the mid-range, we just wired it into the factory harness here, and if you're wondering how to do that, you can check out our 5-channel amplifier video on this car. And then for the tweeter, we just ran our own tweeter speaker wire through our harness all the way up to each side, just like that. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. These cars are very much more difficult running wire through the boot because this is a plug you'd have to drill through, and it doesn't go directly inside the car. It actually almost gets sandwiched between the door jamb and the door panel, but there's a little canal that all the wires run through, so it makes it very difficult to actually run your own speaker wire into the door on these cars. So there are our crossovers. Let's go ahead and give them a little test. When it's good, then it's good. It's so good till it goes bad. There you go. If you have any questions about this install, just go and post a comment below. Thanks, guys, for watching the channel. If you're wondering how to do the back speakers, we're going to have a link down in the description for the back speaker install video as well. Don't forget to hit that like. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.